Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Konner and Trevor.
It's your boy.
You like that? I said Konner, then Trevor this time.
I did like that.
How did
Thank
you feel, and how did you feel?
I think you do that a good bit of the time.
I'm going to just start saying joined by Hunter and Hunter.
Well, that is in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, alphabetical order.
That is.
You had to go
By first and last name. Because K is also before S.
K and I was say K, S, T, S, or T and K pretty
What?
far apart.
K, S, T, S.
Did you just name a millennium mold?
That's funny.
We're going to go over the
No, Connor,
Idlewild
that was very funny.
results. We're going to update the Manufacturer Cup standing. Talk about this new phone policy for Worlds that just came out for New London.
Talk about how nobody's going to follow it.
And then talk about what the PGA is calling the Am Slam.
They're calling the Am Slam. People are heated about the Am Slam.
People are heated. I haven't seen that. Wait, save it.
Did you like look
Save it,
at
save it.
Okay.
You say that, yeah.
But before we get into all of that, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's episode. Many disc golfers have tons of extra discs cluttering up our closets and cars, and there are very few storage products on the market that are designed specifically for golf discs that don't waste any space, and unfortunately, the ones that do exist are terribly expensive. Thankfully, there is DiscBox. DiscBox is the only low-cost disc golf storage product on the market. It's a simple storage bin that holds up to 30 discs, requires no tape or glue, and is made from recycled material in the USA. Go to discboxdg.com, and you'll find you'll find quantity discounts, wholesale option, multiple colors, and most importantly, no order minimums. So you can just order a single box if you want. DiscBox also makes a great player pack item. So visit discboxdg.com today and get your collection organized. And wait, you can use code FOUNDATION for 15% off.
Oh, heck
You better stop it.
So
You better box.
discboxdg.com, use code FOUNDATION.
If you've ever had
Get in on that
if you've
action.
ever had to move with discs, like move house or whatever, and you don't have something like a disc box.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
they
can be a
all
nightmare.
be warped.
You
by
do
the time you get
not
them
want to be getting
unpacked.
your discs warped, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we moved from...
Oh, yeah.
We weren't using disc boxes, but we had like boxes that we store our discs in, like just to be able to
Wish
pull.
we had disc boxes.
Disc boxes would have made our life a lot easier because they closed.
Well,
these
listen,
these weren't.
And the
didn't have
disc
a
only
top.
sticks halfway in there.
Yeah.
I
It's very
stood in that
convenient.
box truck for 2.5 hours whenever it was like 85 degrees outside.
Shout out.
'Cause we moved in
And
August.
I stacked them all like Lincoln lobs. Lincoln
lobs.
lobs. And I was just thinking, surely if I stacked them this way, this would be an undefeated
That was a
strength.
classic.
And then we got there and they're all tipped over.
Classic foundation, we're in over our head moment when we started packing those up. And we're like, we have so many things. So many discs. I still have the pictures of us having them all lined up in the new space and just all over the floor.
Very
it's
fun.
amazing.
Certified use, baby.
All that to say, if we would have had disc boxes, wouldn't even mattered.
Oh, no.
It would have tipped over and who would
Shout
have
out Justin Rozak. He helped us move.
He did.
Yeah.
We had, and does Steph Curry help us too?
I don't think so. I think it was just Rozak.
That was the year Curry was our intern, though.
Was it?
I don't know.
I think Steph Curry later that year.
Later
It
that
was
year.
after we were in the warehouse.
Yeah. Not Steph Curry that just hit 4 threes in 2 minutes on the French team.
No, it was the same one.
Well, he could have.
He could have.
I'd
don't
say our
know.
Steph Curry was cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played disc golf.
I miss him.
Idlewild, we had Joseph Anderson taking down his first Pro Tour win, Ezra Robinson and Calvin Heimberg coming in second, and then we had Owen Scoggins taking it down, Natalie Ryan and Sarah Hokum coming in second
Shout
and
out
third.
Sarah Hokum. Wow.
Yeah. Idlewild and
Just
Sarah
popping in
Hokum,
there.
I feel like, are always like unanimous or synonymous in my head.
This course brings a lot of people into play. We
Yeah.
said that was going to happen on the preview show, and it did happen.
It sure did.
A lot of randos in play.
Owen Scoggins was able to capitalize on the wounded field with a win here. She won by 4 over Natalie Ryan. It was a very impressive performance for her. I think this is a big-time confidence boost headed into Worlds. It also happened to be the day after her birthday, so she said it was like the best
43,
birthday
I
present.
think.
Oh, wow.
I heard she said she was 19. She did say
I
that in an interview.
mean,
And then
all
I
right.
think Charlie Eisenhood said, I think you want to be 21 so you can drink after this, Owen. And then it was
That's
funny. It was a
funny.
funny moment.
That is
but,
funny.
Shout out Owen.
Yeah, it's got to be a big confidence boost for her. This is her third overall win. This is the second win for her this year. She won at Open at Austin and then here. And, I don't think that the World's courses fully line up for her game.
It's 5 rounds, though.
It is 5 rounds. And
She's consistent.
she did, like, we both picked her to win on the preview show. And our reasoning kind of held true, which is just like, you're going to give yourself a lot of looks.
Yeah.
You need the player that's going to convert on those looks. Week in and week out, that's Owen Scoggins.
For sure.
That's not necessarily going to happen at New London and at Ivy for Worlds, but we'll talk about that on the Worlds preview show a lot more next week. But one thing that I think will be good for Owen going into these courses is New London, she plays a very smart, conservative game. I feel like a lot of times because she just doesn't play outside of her game, and that's going to play really well at New London. Ivy, I think, is where she might lose some to the field just because she's not going to be able to open up like the rest of the field could. But regardless, this is what she needed to happen this weekend, was she needed to at least get herself in contention. It's great that she was able to win and win in a pretty dominant fashion to where you get like a win like this, you can look at it and be like, well, Own realistically probably won with the whole field there, possibly.
Yeah.
It's when, you know, the field's wounded and it's a back and forth battle and someone wins by one that you're like, well, but Kristen wasn't there. So really important win, I think, for Own here. What it wasn't the weekend for someone who was an important weekend since they were playing was Missy Gannon. Not the weekend that she needed headed into Worlds or the weekend she needed for her season at all. She came in 12th, but she finished 15 strokes off the lead. Again, when we say wounded field, it's because we're talking Kristen Tatar wasn't there. This one was actually even a little more wounded, but Kristen Tatar not there, Evelina Salonen, Henna Blomroos, Silvasar, and then like the European players haven't made the trek back over yet. Kristen was actually getting married this weekend.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Hit him with it.
Wow.
She's now, I don't
Did
think
she?
She did. Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
She did get married.
Yes.
She
So I don't
was
know.
getting married until...
I don't know if she's going to keep branding wise, still be Kristen Tatar, or if she's now Kristen Lott. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm interested
I
to
was
see.
reading.
Time will tell.
People were talking about this on Reddit.
She just rebranded
'Cause nobody
again, like
has
a new
anything better to
logo,
do.
the KT.
Yeah.
So
and she knew she was getting married.
yeah, so
therefore,
she's definitely got to be Kristen Tatar.
Yeah.
so.
Well, and this is once again Reddit, but people were saying that in Europe, a lot of times they'll keep both last names. Like we could see a Kristen Tatar Lott situation.
Or like let her maiden name take her last name, or a middle name, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've heard of people doing that.
Don't know.
I mean, usually when your name is a big part of your brand, like
My
a lot of the
mom's-
female athletes will keep their.
Remember, my mom's
Last name for
maiden
that
name's
reason.
her middle name.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Hmm.
Lizzie didn't do that, but my wife didn't do that, but that's what my mom did. So it
Yeah.
is a thing. But yeah.
You got options.
Well, that's what like Valerie Jenkins stayed Valerie Jenkins after she got married to Nate Doss, which really confused me because I thought that
She did. I'm pretty sure she played as Val Doss.
was at the end. For a while, she wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it confused me. How I know, maybe when she switched to Discraft, she switched.
Yeah.
When she was still with Innova, she was always Valerie Jenkins.
maybe.
Because it confused me because I thought that she was brothers with Nate Doss and married to Avery Jenkins because they had the same last name, but she was always with Nate Doss.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
realized, oh, she's
Yeah.
married to Nate Doss and brothers with Avery Jenkins. Brother
Yeah.
and sister with Avery Jenkins.
Yeah.
Back in the
Regardless.
day when disc golf had like social media wasn't really huge yet, and disc golf didn't have a ton of coverage, like there was just mystery. Like I remember trying to figure out if Katrina was like how she was related to Yuli, because she went by Katrina Ulibarri for a little bit there because they were married, and I had no, like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You have no
Yeah.
idea. Same with Val, like I thought the same thing about Val Jenkins and Avery Jenkins.
Yeah.
They're siblings the whole time, but we don't know.
No, I thought they were married.
Like, unless you're in the know.
I mean, I thought that Elaine King was Haley King's mom for a little bit there.
Reasonable assumption.
Not true.
There's just so many mysteries back then. Social media ruins all the
Social
fun,
media,
man.
yeah, makes it where you know everything.
Can't stand it.
Anyways, back to disc golf. This is, if you ever wondered why we call this show Grip Lock, what just happened is why.
Yeah.
Is because we have a fairway we're looking down, but every once in a while we just grip lock way off the fairway.
Oh, yeah.
And next thing you know, we're in the rough talking about marriages.
Yeah. I mean, that was at least about disc golf
Yeah,
personalities.
I was just explaining to people why.
Yeah. And if you ever wonder what a grip lock is, then you haven't been playing disc golf long enough.
Grip blocks
Or not, you don't watch our videos either.
Grip blocks aren't real. Brody Smith.
But yeah, Brody did say that. But big weekend for Owen Scoggins. You know, I think that the other player that I had my eyes on of like we need to watch how she does this weekend was Holland Handley, because she was coming off of a win. She shot fine. I mean, she came in top 5. I don't think it was a like confidence builder, but it wasn't a like ruiner going into Worlds. You made a point on the preview show that like you were actually talking about MPO, I think, but I think it would have been very true for Holland. Like if I were in Holland's shoes, I don't think I'm playing this weekend.
Yeah.
Just because I won.
Well,
I just got to win at Ledgestone.
The trickier part.
I think I'm just missing this weekend so that I can go into Worlds with a win and not have, well, now I lost by 12 to Own last weekend on my mind.
Yeah. The thing I would mention, though, is it's trickier when it's like you're basically turning down thousands of dollars for free when you're Holland Handley. And, like, she was a few strokes, like 3 shots out of third place and, like, a couple grand. Like, yeah, that in the FPO field, I totally get it. But, yeah, there's something to be said about that.
Because Holland still made $1,500 coming in 5th.
But that course, that course did not set up to her game super well. That it's a much more technical wooded course. You got to have your release on point, and wasn't her best week. But yeah, I think, hopefully, a lot of players will usually have enough time before Worlds to kind of reset a little bit. And, I think as much as there's going to be some carryover from that event, most of your confidence is going to be established during your practice at Worlds because you're going to have a good bit of practice. So
absolutely.
I think how you feel walking off of New London and Ivy is really going to determine how you're feeling going into that event.
Now, on MPO side, we had Joseph Anderson taking down his first ever DGPT Elite Series win here. There's just something about Idlewild that generates first-time Elite Series winners, and also there's been a different winner every year. Is
Idlewild the real Waco?
Maybe.
I think they're
both. I think they both kind of do similar things.
But I think Waco has much more consistency considering this event literally has 0.
Yeah, because this is year 7 of the event. I think it started in 2017.
It's crazy,
and there's never been a repeat winner.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
And also, we're absolute goons for not. Well, I don't know if we picked repeat winners on the preview show, but next year we got to make a mental note to definitely not do that.
Yeah, I picked Gannon Burr, but I mean, has Gannon won it?
I don't think he has won it. So I think
I don't know if Gannon had won it or not, but if someone was going to win it for the first time as a repeat
Isaac,
winner.
so that was a bad pick, and clearly he
worked,
got close, and then it was like can't have repeat winners.
We'll talk about Isaac in a second.
And the course changed its mind.
But yeah, Joseph Anderson just very smooth out there this weekend. Did exactly what he needed to do. Hit some big putts and some big moments, and just really hung around all weekend. And then when it was his opportunity to push the pedal down and take over the lead, he did. I think that, he's had a pretty up and down season, but all season long, it's felt like when it's his weekend, you're not surprised to see him up there. You know what I mean? Like for instance, last weekend, I think he came in 67th at Ledgestone. So like he's a very up and down player, but he's one of those players, which there's a lot of them nowadays on tour.
There's a lot of young guys.
I mean, when they get hot, then they can push for the win or a top 5 or whatever. And we've seen that out of Joseph multiple different times. Yeah. So it's good to see him finally take down this first one. And it'll be good to see kind of what that does the rest of the season and into for his confidence going into the off season and stuff, knowing, hey, I already got my Elite Series win. I've done that.
Yeah. If we didn't have like the 2, maybe 3 players that we do that play still at a very consistent, like never finish outside the top 10 level, then we would just expect what we get out of a player like Joseph Anderson, where it's going to fluctuate because that's just golf and that's just the how tight the field is. But no, he's super polished. I remember at the beginning of the season, thinking that he was looking really good, and I'm not surprised. I feel like Idlewild can be that tournament, like I said, that brings some players in that may not always be in contention to win. And I think that of the players that maybe moved up that leaderboard, you see Emerson Keith on there, Marweed on there, who we've talked about, Double G, Joel Freeman. There's a lot of them. But of those players, he's certainly the most well-rounded. And I think it kind of, Isaac, when he won Idlewild, it kind of felt like he was having like a kind of a come-up season and then, got that win and that kind of really got things going. And I feel like Joseph, this is a similar thing for him. I think of that younger crop of players, he's probably the most promising of the guys that haven't really established themselves.
Yeah,
obviously, guys
of
like
the
Gannon,
up and coming,
of the
Alden Harris's.
Right. Yeah, I think he's great. I saw somebody commenting. They were like, everybody talks a lot of mess about the House of Discs made plastic.
Yeah, I saw this tweet.
But yet another winner. With throwing those discs, man, it's tough to argue against their effectiveness out there.
Yeah.
Do people talk a lot of crap against them?
Yeah. Well, people
I guess the
Trilogy
durability.
Plastic. Yeah, Trilogy Plastic has always had a rep. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that throw them and love
I just
them.
feel like there's so many Trilogy fanboys.
The thing is, I don't think there's as many nowadays. When we were first getting into the sport, Team Trilogy was a huge thing, and like everyone and their mom was sponsored. That's the Ranger team.
So many
nowadays.
Ranger bags.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're called.
But the Castaplast, they didn't change their plastic. Like what's funny is if you go pre-House of Discs, Castaplast, like people threw it because they're like, no, there's nothing that feels like this on the market.
Yeah.
Like your dad got into Castaplast like that.
Oh yeah.
Like my brother was like that. He would throw the Bergs and like when you felt Castaplast plastic, it was unreal. Then House of Discs bought it and they didn't change it. Like the K1 and stuff that's coming in, like it felt the same. Yeah. So like Castaplast didn't really change, and then Discmania, I know it feels Trilogy-esque plastic, but I think they must be using kind of like whatever's used for Lucid Ice, basically. And the durability of it's pretty great. S-Line isn't. The durability on S-Line's noticeably different than Star, but the C-Line plastic they do is really solid. I think that the big problem Discmania has with the modern player is just their price. It's just like you have to pay $21 for a stock C-line disc. It's just crazy.
It trips people up too. I think people like having the uniqueness when they throw a plastic. Like if I'm throwing Discraft plastic, this is just Discraft plastic. So I think for somebody to hop on, true. But I think for somebody to hop on one of those House of Discs manufacturers and like decide you really want to throw them, you never like you obviously have the molds, but like your plastic is the same as a bunch of other different companies. That you don't have that unique factor, but they are winning a lot of tournaments. But I guess it also happens when you own that many companies.
Yeah, well, I was going to say they have Discmania, Latitude, Westside, Castoplast, Dynamic.
Well, and in fairness, also Gannon is the big reason for
Kristen Tatar
for the wins and Kristen.
Yeah.
They've gotten, but yeah, once you get enough manufacturers and players, stats are on your side.
Yeah, that is something nice. Statistically, you're gonna do it.
That is something nice that House of Disc does, at least, because like you kind of get the trilogy vibe from like what you were saying from a lot of the discs that are in House of Disc, but they still somewhat try to keep each company to be unique. You know, like the plastic blends to be unique. While on the other hand, you have like Streamline. They don't even try. Like all their plastics are just the same. Like they don't really try to make one company about one thing other than the overmold. But all their plastics, like every company that's made by like plastic is Streamline. It's just Streamline.
Well, what confuses me, right, with MVP, Streamline, Axiom, not necessarily ThoughtSpace, Mint, all that stuff, but like just them is like, I don't fully understand the logic, because if you had any MVP disc in my head that would switch to an Axiom disc, meaning basically it just gets colored rims, would immediately sell better.
Yeah.
Like, because one of the big things that holds me back is like
a
detour with a colored rim. Like, I'm more interested in that.
Well,
I don't understand it.
When I asked the guy from MVP years ago what was the purpose of Axiom, and he basically just told me that A, they wanted to experiment with doing the different colors, but B, it was just meant to be like their more experimental line, and they wanted to fill the gaps in the MVP lineup. But it's still like, even after hearing that, I was kind of like,
with discs,
right? It's a weird one.
It is.
I think now they're just so far down that route that they're just like, it just is what it is. But it's very weird. Like, I wonder from within the company how those entities interact. Like,
it really freaks me up in Distal.
Yeah, Distal.
Gosh, whenever it's an Axiom disc, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it is MVP. No, it is MVP.
But we have seen House of Discs trying to line up the identity of brands more. I think that's the real reason behind what we saw with the Evolution line, where their Discmania is like, so the Evolution line shrinking, it's our entrance. I think that's just, they didn't want to can't fully cancel it and upset people. I feel like what it is the exit plan for the Evolution line, because they're like, look, we have trilogy discs that are made by the same company now. It makes no sense for y'all to have an Evolution line that is trilogy made.
Which right now, Gannon Burr is putting with an Evolution line disc.
So is Kyle Klein, the Notion. And Gannon's the Link. But I think that because what they're doing is like the Tactics, a really popular Evolution line disc, right? So they're like, we're going to bring that into either an A series or an M series disc. And the same thing with like all of their popular ones they're bringing over, and they're keeping some of them. I feel like that's just going to be the exit plan over the next few years.
Well, the only reason
they slowly move it, and then everything is just in the original.
Well, the only reason it started was because they were desperate for plastic during COVID.
Yeah, and they were being
held out by Innova.
We need something.
It saved their company.
So you already seen that within House of Disc, which I like, that you can just line up and be like, okay, Castoplast has its brand, you know what I mean, like all of that. So sorry, I didn't respond to this text from my wife. Why don't you start talking to him about what Isaac Robinson did and didn't do out there, Trev?
Yeah, well, Isaac was my pick to win this tournament, and I really thought he was going to dominate, and he had a good start doing Isaac things. I think that course really sets up well for him. He was putting well. You get to the final round, obviously Calvin comes in with the lead, and Isaac starts the chase early. Feels like he's throwing it pretty well. Early on-ish in the round, he gets a few good breaks, but then all of a sudden you get towards the middle of the round, and he throws some really bad shots and gets some really good breaks. It started with like, oh, you get a little kick here, like, oh, you threw it long, well, you grabbed the tree, or you got kicked from 30 feet to 20 feet. But then like there was one where he legitimate shanks it into the woods, and then it somehow gets all the way down there and kicks back into the fairway. Like, it felt like the course was just holding him in there for dear life, but he was not throwing the disc super well, and that all kind of didn't work out, because I think it was on the Y tree hole. Shanked it out of bounds. Literally said on the hot mic, "I'm the king of shanks," or it was something along those lines. Like, I'm like the king of shanks today. And Isaac has a very I don't want to say like jerky, but a very violent release of the disc where he pumps that disc back and really quickly pulls it through.
Yeah.
And his miss appears to be right when he's off, and he was definitely yanking the disc.
He was definitely off, yeah.
And after taking that whole, Ezra and Joey especially played really smooth through the end of that tournament, so there was just nowhere for him to climb back out because I think he bogeyed the next hole as well.
Yeah, he went 6 over through 3 holes after that.
It's really tough for Isaac because, that wasn't really, his identity as a winner on tour was a guy who, if he got in control of a tournament, he was very calm, cool, and collected, especially at a course like this that really fits his game. He was able to throw, he threw some awesome backhands during parts of this tournament and was making some great putts, and his hyzer flips and everything he wanted could have worked out there. He just kind of lost command, and this season's been definitely a frustrating one for him. And I think this was probably a time where he was like, okay, finally, I'm going to get my win. In a season where it's not easy to grab a win. When you've got 3 players winning all the events, 3 or 4 of them. This would have been huge for him going into Worlds, really giving him a confidence boost. And I think it's tough that he squandered it away, in the fashion that he did. That's not easy to do. And then, going into Worlds, I think if he had won that, I would have really high hopes for him at Worlds, especially knowing that he should be very effective at New London. But guess where you don't want to miss at New London?
Where?
Right. So hopefully,
it doesn't really matter.
They took
anymore.
a lot of the OB out that you missed right.
Yeah.
Well,
you forgot we're dealing with neutered London now.
There's still quite a few holes you don't want to miss right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just saying he definitely I think he's going to be a player that really needs a win before the season ends. And I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to get it. I still like him at other courses we have left. Probably not at D-Glow, but maybe at MVP or GMC or something like that. But we'll have to see.
Yeah,
or maybe he'll win the Pro Tour finale. Maybe he'll be one of those seasons where, because he's come up short twice in that event. I think both times to Rick. Certainly the one year in the playoff, but it could be one of those years where nothing happens, and then all of a sudden you win the Pro Tour Championship, you win a bunch of money, and all of a sudden your season rocked.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a weekend where, or at least in the final round, it felt like he was gonna just win. It seemed like he was willing his way in, and the course was just kicking him back in the fairway. Sorry, my wife's getting a root canal right now and is asking me insurance questions. So,
what the heck,
dude? Bummer. If I went back to the dentist after all these years, they'd probably give me 10 root canals.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Huh?
So shout out for her bravery.
I'm not going through anything.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah. Anyways,
you gonna get
it felt like a weekend that he was gonna. Are
you gonna get her flowers?
I got her flowers over the weekend.
That's nice.
Unrelated.
Why?
Yeah,
just I walked into Fresh Market
you filled your quota
and saw
then.
flowers, and I was like, "Oh, Liz would like these."
Dude, I wish I was married to Hunter.
Yeah, I do too.
No, you don't.
I feel like I am, and maybe you're right.
But yeah, then the break stopped going his way. It basically you can only throw off the fairway so many times.
And the only thing worse than squandering a tournament lead like that is then losing to your brother as well.
Yeah, that is tough. Now, after seeing this weekend and seeing he was in the driver's seat, he was in full control, and then what happened, because you had said previously, if he got in control, it felt like no one's ever touching him. Do you think, yes or no, he will get a win this year?
I think that was his best chance. I'll say that. I would say probably no. If I had to say, I think he'll have one more opportunity to win this year. Just based on how often he's been able to get himself contention. I still think at the end of the year, you're going to look at his average finishing place, and he'll probably be top 10 on tour, average finishing place. But it's tough to go through a whole year not get a win, especially after the double major. Last season. But you look through a season, he's got some rough finishes, but a lot of it is smooth, and especially you look at his last stretch.
No, he's getting hot.
It's been great. So. I don't know. It's tough to win right now, and you just haven't seen his very best yet. So if he could find that, we'll see. But I think that was the venue for him to get it done there.
I'm gonna lean towards no, but I definitely think GMC. I think is the other one. This could be, because obviously he won Worlds there last year. I think that could be one that he could definitely take down.
Tour Championship for sure.
Tour Championship is going to be the only tough part is, I guess he should be up there in Tour points to where he's in contention.
I was to say, with the head start, I think he'll probably be.
Where's he at in Tour points right now?
He's definitely top 10.
He's got so he shouldn't be. He might be top 5 because he's having a. man, everyone's having a good season. He's in ninth.
Yeah.
So he'll be probably like 5 or 6 strokes back again in the start, if I had to guess, somewhere in there. So it's going to be tough for him to win this year. But yeah, I think to me, I think Worlds he could win, but it's not going to be. I think his best chance is going to be GMC. I think that's going to be his best chance left.
Maybe he'll win USDGC. You never know.
Or USDGC. That's also a solid one, too.
USDGC is the most unpredictable thing ever.
Now, meanwhile, his brother, Ezra, while he was in the middle of going through, the 6 over through 3-hole stretch, his brother was in the middle of going 8 under on the back 9 and putting pressure on the leaders.
Yeah.
Because he was ahead of them. The only thing with Idlewild is they always get backed up on 16 because originally Ezra was like 3 holes ahead or 2 or 3 holes ahead to where he was going to be able to finish the course and be in the clubhouse
and keep that pressure
where Joseph would have been looking like, I've got a birdie, but they all get caught up at through hole 15 to where they play 16 and then the lead card's right behind them. So they're basically on the same hole.
Kind of brutal.
So it kind of sucks from that aspect because he still was putting pressure on them. He was in the mix, right, with Calvin and Joseph and stuff, but it wasn't the same as like he's in the clubhouse. I've got to make sure I get there type thing. And he ended up getting a crazy break on 17 to get the birdie there, a little fun skip ramp action. But it would have been better in my head had he already been in the clubhouse. I think it would have played a little bit more to his strength. Probably wouldn't have mattered. But regardless, he had a great finish out there, coming in second. I picked him actually in second on the previous show. Pretty proud of that pick.
Hunt.
I think I picked
Hunter's
Gannon to win, but I put Ezra in there more so because I was like, this could be a weekend someone random wins, and I think it'd be Ezra. I was right and wrong. Someone random did win, wasn't Ezra. It was Joseph Anderson.
True.
So, but that's what's crazy is Isaac's having a great season, but it feels worse than Ezra's season, even though on paper I would bet it's better.
No, Ezra's higher in the standings.
Oh, then maybe it is a better season.
I think Ezra's like 7th.
I was going to say, my expectations for Isaac were so much heavier than my expectations for Ezra coming into the year that where they're probably where are they? They're
I think they're 7th and 9th.
9th and 6th. Yeah, so he's at 6th. And
I think he may have played more in Europe than Isaac,
but I might
be wrong.
They have a similar season. Like they're both having top 10 season in the world. So they both are having a great season, but because of Isaac's wins last year, I was expecting him to be a guy on the level of like Calvin or Ricky this year.
They're both in.
And instead, he's just not, when he's getting in contention, he's not winning.
Yeah.
And then Ezra on the flip side, he was on my radar, but not really. Like he was on my radar, kind of like an Alden Harris was on my radar, where I was like, he could pop off, so he's having a season that is far above my expectations. So I feel in my head whenever I'm looking at them, like Ezra Robinson is just having a head and shoulders season above his brother, when they're actually kind of close.
Yeah, well, they're both kind of in interesting spots right now because Ezra, you have him playing under the pressure of like, I'm just trying to get that first win, trying to break through. He has a silver win, I think, but trying to get his first full pro tour. And then Isaac is, like you mentioned, trying to weigh the expectations, the bar he set for himself last year. So both kind of in those spots. I think he won Mid-America last year.
Yeah, I think what's because if you look at Ezra's season as a whole,
like
especially the start was better than his brother's. It's just Truebank always sticks out in my head because he came in 85th there. But that's like his only blemish.
Yeah, he's been in the top 30 the rest of them.
His second worst finish is 27th, and then outside of that, it's the top 20.
Yeah,
the rest of it. So
he's
season. Having a heck of a season. So his win's coming. Maybe not this year, but it's coming. He's very solid, and they're still the best brother duo of all time, probably. Because if you look, what's funny is if you take Isaac's front 9, I think Isaac played the front 9 better. So Isaac went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 under on the front, and then Ezra went 8 under on the back. They would have shot 14 under.
Yeah,
together.
And Calvin Heimberg, womp womp.
Yeah, and then I was saying we got to talk about Calvin because this was a solid weekend for Calvin if you just look finishing place, right? If you're thinking, okay, what does Calvin need to do to stay like get some momentum, blah blah blah. If you look at like just finishing place, second place, perfect, great job, Calvin. Only thing that I think this shakes confidence a little bit is he was in the lead.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this round through, I think he lost the lead on hole 7 or 8.
Yeah, you can.
So that's the only problem here is like a second place finish is great.
Yeah.
But Calvin needs a lot of confidence going into Worlds, never won a major. He also just kind of, needs more wins because people are getting more wins than him this year. And he was in a position where he could have won this tournament early, and he just kind of let it slip away. Like the storyline just kind of went away from Calvin throughout the
tournament. Play awful, but the other guys were playing hot. I mean, Joey obviously with the 10 under to win, but Calvin, it'd be one thing if he wasn't in a lead and it's kind of like, maybe that course didn't set up to my game as well as those other guys, whatever, great finish, head into the world. But it is always tough, You're leading going in the final round, which means
through a big chunk of the final round.
Yeah, which means you had what it take. And actually, if because he was 19 under through the first 2 rounds, so if he had played as well as he did the first 2 days, on the final round, it would have been probably would have won the tournament.
Well, because he was even right back in it going into like 16, 17, 18. But the problem was Joseph just shut the door because Joseph wasn't messing around at that point.
He made some great plays.
So it's kind of it gives me mixed emotions for Calvin because like he came in second. Obviously, that's a phenomenal finish, and if you just look on paper, I'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what Calvin needed. But the way he got second, where like he had the chance and he just came out slow. Like he just started. He was only 3 under on the front 9, which a lot of players were starting slow and finishing hotter. But he went 3 on the front, 4 under on the back, shot 7 under total. Like if he shot 10 under, he wins by 1, and that's what
hole 14.
Other people
he takes a bogey, the other 2 birdie, and there's the story.
Yeah. That just is what it is. So, and then the other player who this wasn't the finish that they would have wanted, but it might have still been an overall win for them was Ricky Wysocki.
Yeah.
He finished a little bit obviously lower than he would have wanted, but he posted on Instagram that he went to a chiropractor to get adjusted, and the chiropractor discovered that's actually what's been hurting him is he had a rib out of place. So he adjusted him, popped the rib back into place.
I think it was like in the front.
Yeah, somewhere.
Which I gotta look into this rib thing because I've had this thing where like I get this tightness in like the front like ribs area, and then like it'll get a little bit painful, and then sometimes it'll pop and feel better. I wonder if I've got a rib out of place.
Maybe
because Ricky and I
Paul
both
had that at some point.
Maybe it's a disc golf injury.
It sounds like it.
And maybe because Ricky and I both throw such hard forehands.
It
just
could be.
rip forehands.
That is a good point, Trevor.
So yeah, me and Ricky are both kind of going through it right now.
But yeah, so Rick got it popped back into place, and he said on Instagram that he like immediately had relief, but he was just now it's just inflammation that needed to go down.
Yeah.
So while the finish might mean kind of like whatever, I think it's a win for him and for his fans this weekend because like he figured it out, he got it fixed. Now it should just be recover over the next week. Boom.
Yeah.
He's ready to roll.
Considering how well he was playing with the injury, I would be pretty terrified if Ricky is feeling more confident.
Yeah. Because he on Instagram, that's what he seemed very relieved and excited.
Ricky 3-time?
It could be. It does sound like it does feel like this would be a Worlds Ricky would win, being like at Paul's home.
It would
like
be.
the vintage rivalry,
dude,
like
could you
Paul's
imagine?
home bases.
Dude,
I think for worst case scenarios for Paul, like that's it right there.
I mean,
Ricky
final
Wysocki,
round lead card.
Ricky beating you at your home turf, like
if the lead card final round is Ricky and Paul, that would be insane.
There's a solid chance.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
There's a great chance.
Gannon Burr is definitely the favorite.
The
But
lead card better be sick.
That would be best case scenario.
Best case scenario is a Gannon Burr, Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki, and like a
AB, and I'm on his back.
Sure, we'll go AB, final round lead card.
Just
Trevor's
so
on the bag. Trevor's on the bag. We're all just there.
Well, my game plan is hopefully.
What round for AB's bag? What is the round that you're like? Do you want final round pressure?
No, I think I want to do New London because
Okay.
I think I can actually give him some amount of direction out there.
Yeah.
So I'd rather caddy an early round in the tournament where there's not a ton of pressure yet. So
what if your round goes so well that he's like, I want you on the bag the rest of it?
I don't think I'm gonna do the whole. Well, it depends. I mean, it's only one round. If he's on lead cards and he's asking me to caddy, that's pretty tough to turn down because that would be sick. But my goal would be, okay, what if we can caddy the first round and it's good enough that he gets into contention in the last day and he's like, I want you back for the final rounds. Then I'm definitely hopping on.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know what type of pressure you wanted.
Yeah. Being on lead card would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Final day.
What if he kicks you off your bag on lead card though?
I did think about it. Like in my lifetime, I know disc golf etiquette very well. I've been on the course so much, and like I've never done anything super stupid. But after watching that guy hop in front of that roller, I just kind of thought to myself, like, what if I just like do something dumb, like pick up the wrong disc, or which I shouldn't pick up any disc.
Why are you picking up any
But
disc?
I'm just saying,
Trevor?
or just like something. I just do something intrusive.
Yeah.
While on the bag and just ruin
Do you
everything.
guys ever kind of fall into a daydream and
all the time,
and then in your daydream you just did something wild in the situation you're in, and you kind of wake up and you're like, what if that wasn't a daydream? What if I just did that? And I just didn't have control over myself.
I'll sometimes wake up and be like, Hunter, don't do that.
I'm just thinking to myself,
you can't
like,
do that,
now both of my grandfathers had like really, really bad dementia. So I think that's why it's a big fear of mine that I'm gonna have dementia and not have control over my body. But
I mean,
one day it's gonna happen.
We should make a
asparagus.
We should make a social post where we're like putting you through caddy school.
That's fun.
Like we let you you're caddying for me, and like you just have
practicing picking up the bag, putting it on.
Yeah, or you have like idiotic tendencies.
Here's your disc, sir.
Like you're
Here's
picking
your
disc up, I'm like, Trevor, no, like you don't understand. Do not touch my disc, Trevor. Like, oh, got it. And, like taking notes.
I'm just thinking to myself, like we have yet to see that like Reddit post of like, can you believe what this caddy did on the course? Like the caddies are just invisible out there.
Basically,
that's my goal, is to be invisible. But like, what if I'm the guy that does something stupid?
I think part of it has to be that you watch the movie Caddyshack and you say disc in front of every time they say golf. That's part of your.
Never seen Caddyshack. Have you seen it?
I have not seen the Caddyshack.
Wow, neither of us have.
I haven't seen it either.
Oh.
I just know it's a movie about caddies and golf.
Which one is Caddyshack? Is that the one with Bill Murray?
I don't know.
And the groundhogs?
So you're referencing a movie you've never seen?
Well, I just know it's about caddies.
I don't know that it is like about caddies. I think he's like a course maintenance guy. Oh, this is the Bill Murray one. I have seen this. Yeah.
Moving on.
All I really remember about it is he has a rivalry with a gopher or a groundhog or something.
You're thinking about Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. He's got two of those movies. No, because that's actually part of the plot of Caddyshack, because he's like wreaking havoc on the course and he's trying to like blow him up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Now the final person we're gonna talk about, Gannon Burr.
And then he wakes up and it's the same day.
Gannon Burr, one of his worst finishes of the year. Yeah, terrible.
Man.
Eighth place.
Oh my!
Yeah. I don't know how he's going to sleep at night with himself. 8th place, like, come on, Gannon.
Probably a lot of Legos.
Probably. No, he was at one point, he was in like 15th or 16th, and I was like watching him like, oh, Gannon, what are you doing? And then he got back up to 8th. Oh. He finished, he birdied like 5 of the last 7 or something like that. Just fine. Yeah, he just did what Gannon does, where he just kind of is, even when he's not there, he's there.
He's there.
Gannon the Cannon Burr.
Gannon the Cannon.
Oh, the other thing, when you're talking about spotters, Double G hit another spotter, but this time it kept him in bounds.
Yeah,
it was a little bit like you couldn't quite tell if it was a spotter's foot or a tree root, but it kept him in bounds. So
that's funny.
What
redemption.
The heck?
Disc don't
redemption. Lie. Like last time kept him out, this time helped him in. There we go.
That's great.
All
the
bounces
man
out.
can't stay off the spotters.
Yeah. All right.
How about stop hitting the spotters? Double G?
Double G. What the frick, dude?
Yeah.
Spotters in New London. Watch out.
That guy sounds like such a jerky. Get it?
Come on, man.
Double G.
Manufacturers Cup update here. Edwin didn't update this. Not calling out Edwin. He's awesome. He's actually gonna be here for Worlds. So if you want to meet Edwin's stat, wear some Edwin stat merch and get Edwin to sign it. That'd be sick.
That is a cool.
But
idea.
it wasn't updated by the time I did Grip Block this morning, so I updated this. So there's a solid chance this is wrong.
What if it's been updated as of right now?
Actually, that's a good call. That's a good call, Trev. Let's check if it has been.
Because that would
be better than me trying to do what I did.
Well, no, your thing is great.
Hunter stats.
It has not. Okay, so Hunter stats.
Hunter stats.
But we'll have the true Edwin
Thomas stats.
We'll have Edwin's stats back for post Worlds. So just for now, I have updated it.
Okay.
Joseph Anderson obviously earned Cast Blast, their first win of the season.
How did you get his formula?
25 points. I was the one that sent him the formula originally.
Oh.
It's just Formula 1 points.
Yeah.
Formula 1?
Yeah, that's where we got it all
it's
from.
It's the first formula ever made.
So Cast Blast earned 25 points. Unfortunately, they did it on a week where pretty much everyone in front of them had like 3 people in top 10.
That's a bummer, Cast
So
Blast.
like they had a chance at like, oh, maybe they'll catch Prodigy, but then Prodigy put in 3 players in the top 10, and so Prodigy went up 30 points. They actually built their lead on Castaplass, and the same with Innova. They got Calvin Heimberg, Emerson Keith, Double G, and Joel Freeman in the top 10. Big week for Innova.
I was just thinking, where the heck is Joel Freeman?
And then Discraft got 0 points this week. So Discmania was able to extend their lead with Gannon Burr sitting in the top 10 by a whole 2.3 points.
Some are saying Discraft can't play in the woods, but that is also silly because Presnell won the Wooded Major. So I'm going to forget that I said that.
So Discmania still is in the lead at 470 points. Discraft's in second at 453. Then in basically it's basically like those two are in their own Manufacturers Cup, and then the rest of the field's in their own. Because then you have Innova at 268.
It's a classic Mercedes Red Bull situation.
Very much so. Although I think it's Ferrari and Red Bull this year.
Well, yeah.
I think Mercedes kind of cheats.
Is that where?
Let's actually look at the actual Constructors Cup.
Is that where what's his face went? Lewis?
No, he hasn't left yet.
Louis Vuitton.
I thought he did.
I think he's leaving.
Or he is.
He wants to leave. Oh, McLaren's in second.
Shout out Lando.
Yeah,
right?
so you got Red Bull.
Lando?
Yep, Lando.
Woo!
Well, I don't know if he
F1
still is driving them.
No, he is. F1.
You got Red Bull in first, McLaren in second, Ferrari in third, and then Mercedes.
Oh, man. Is that Nissan all the way in the back? Dang, Connor.
I didn't even know Nissan had.
They don't.
I was gonna say I don't even think a team.
Frick. Just found a way to drag Konner into that. Oh, dang. Is that the Nissan Frontier all the way in 10th?
Yeah, because Max Verstappen's in the lead for another championship there. Lando Norris is in second.
My
Charles
boy,
Leclerc.
Dude. Lando.
And Oscar Piastri. I don't even know who he is.
I think
he
you said it
drives.
correctly,
Oh,
yeah.
McLaren Mercedes? What the frick? How does that even make sense?
Are they the same people now? Guys, we've missed a lot.
McLaren Mercedes? Someone catch us up.
That's like House of Discs.
That doesn't even make sense because then Mercedes is separate. There's also Aston Martin Mercedes. Does Mercedes make all these cars, Konner?
They might own them. I'm not
They
sure.
must.
They might be the parent company.
That
Because
would
like
be
Red Bull is a
interesting.
Honda. We've that's been that for a while.
Oh.
But like, yeah, interesting.
And,
Oh, well.
and that was talking F1.
And that was F1. There's our F1 update.
That was our F1 update.
Back to here. Innova 268. DD is behind them at 193. Prodigy is at 160 now. Castblast at 102. And then DGA got some points from Andrew Marweitz. They're up to 69.25.
Mercedes does not own McLaren,
So then why is the McLaren?
but as of
Mercedes?
recently, they have partnered on
F1
a couple
only?
projects.
Oh, interesting. And then we have
Heck
Latitude
yeah.
at 58, West Side at 57, and Thought Space holding in at 45.5.
Hold them in.
So there you go. There's the update. It's time for a
Are we
little.
going to send them a cup? Like the winning company?
not? Yeah,
I think we
that's-
definitely should.
we definitely should.
Yeah, because I think like a Discmania, we're friends with them. Like they would totally like display that
Yeah.
or think it was cool.
We should definitely make one every year. The Grip Block Manufacturers Cup.
Yeah.
Especially because Tour Life takes our same points that we came up with and used it, so it's better if we call it the Grip Block Manufacturers Cup.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
typical.
Typical.
That's all I'll say
Yeah.
about that.
We have a good idea. They try to take it.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Like we have a disc golf podcast. They need a disc golf podcast.
Yeah, what the
What the
heck?
heck?
Snore
Seriously?
life.
Snore Life. All right, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia, right after these messages.
What up, my fans?
Everybody, welcome Trevor's Trivia.
All right. Here's the dealio, Spielio.
Hit me with it.
We've gotten
How'd
far.
you know my maiden name was Spielio?
That's a good point. We've gotten far enough into the season now that I think it's time to make sure that we remember the rest of the season.
Oh.
Or not the rest, what's happened so far,
Yeah.
I should say. And somebody on Sporkle actually has a 2024 Disc Golf Pro Tour winners quiz, and they
Love
update
it.
it every
Uh-oh.
Monday.
Great.
They update it every Monday. Well, you guys can be on a team.
Thank you.
But
I think there's been 8 MPO winners, Con.
Okay.
you get 5 minutes, and we'll
George
go.
Lopez.
We'll go tournament by tournament. You can skip if you.
Is it
if you
MPO
need
and
to.
FPO?
Yes.
Oh, no.
You can skip if you need to. But I think we should see if we can get through all the ones they have in 5 minutes. Ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning. Chess.com Invitational.
Oh, we have to go in order?
Yes.
Okay, that was Anthony Barella and Evelina Solomon.
Wow, great
But
job.
it
Hunt.
will, remember, I think it will fill them. It'll fill them in where they have their other wins. So
Okay.
now we go to Waco.
Waco, Gannon Burr won. And who won an FPO? Con.
I have no idea.
Waco. What was
Was
the
that-
trophy in Waco?
was
Waco's
that
the cool
Own?
trophy.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
Own
thinking-
one, Open at Austin. She
I'm
got the
thinking
cowboy
about
hat.
who was holding trophies.
I feel like this wasn't a crazy one. Did
Not-
Kristen win already there? Let's try Kristen Tatar.
Well, she's going to fill in a lot of other ones.
But why are we going in order then?
Because I just thought I think that would be the best way to attack it.
I just wanted to spit out all the names of winners and then see what tournaments we were missing.
Well,
But we can go this way.
if we go this way, that's what I'm saying.
It's just
You'll,
gonna get
you'll
me
fill
stumped.
them in as you go.
Okay, so just put Kristen Tatar
So
there.
Open at Austin, you have nobody filled in
Owen
for this.
Scoggins
I'll tell you that much.
was Open at Austin,
Okay.
and then MPO should have been Luke Humphreys. No, that was last year. Who won? Who wore the cowboy hat this year? Niklas Antila did.
There you go. Not me trying to spell all these names like really fast. Okay, Texas States. You already have AB. Who is the FPO winner?
Texas State.
Texas States. Who got the belt buckle?
How the heck do you spell Antila?
Well, can you just do Niklas?
No, I want you to
Niklas.
do last names.
Antila. He might have one of those like dots above his name or something.
I think he does.
Who won Texas States? Paige Pierce won a dark horse one, but I think that was like Portland.
2 T's,
We're not
that's
there
why.
yet.
Got it.
Who got the belt buckle? Was that Holland Hanley's first win? Just type Holland Hanley because she's a winner at some
no,
point.
was not.
But you typed her?
Yes.
Okay, so that gets us later. All right, so keep going. Or do I have to stay
Yeah,
on
we
FPO?
gotta get Texas
have to
State's
stay?
FPO.
I'd really like to just fill in all of them and then come back.
You are filling in a bunch of them by guessing
I understand,
wrong.
but I'd rather just like skip it and then like
Hunter.
You still got
this
a lot
is
of
called
time.
Trevor's
and you filled in a
trivia.
lot.
I know. I just want to
It's
just.
called
The point is for you to
Trevor's
go through the
trivia.
events.
I don't remember who won FPO.
There's
then
only
you
so
lose.
many.
Okay, then let's try.
There's only so many you can guess.
Yeah, I don't know them. Konner?
I don't know, man.
Well, okay, we'll
Who won
we'll skip it.
FPO at Texas State?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Jones, we'll come back to it. Jonesboro, you already have AB and Kristen filled in. Music
Perfect.
City, you already have Kristen filled in. Who won MPO?
Simon
Music
Lizotte.
City? Correct.
Was Texas State's own?
No, she was open in Austin.
Champions Cup, you have none of them filled in.
Andrew
for this.
Presnell.
Yep.
Didn't Evelina Saladin win?
Oh yeah, you do.
So I should have her.
I've yet to spell her name correctly.
It's 2 I's and then
no, I need the last name.
Salonien.
Salonien.
Yeah, I
You're
believe
so
so.
good at that. Okay, DDO, you just need MPO. You already have Missy.
Who won DDO MPO?
Still have 2 minutes. We got time. You're gonna be able to do this.
Who went to a playoff? No, FPO went to a playoff because that's what
Missy
made
won.
Cole
Yeah.
Dolan leave.
Shout out.
Wait, Missy Gannon? I didn't guess Missy Gannon yet.
Oh, she must have popped in whenever I typed in Gannon's Burr's name. I must have typed in Gannon first.
Oh.
Missy Gannon.
That's right.
We got Missy Gannon.
I had
already.
faith you would have
Nice.
got her.
I would have got her. MPO. Who won MPO? DDO.
Minute 30 left.
Oh man.
Can we skip it? Let's skip it.
Okay. Copenhagen Open. You already have Evelina.
Jesse Niemanen. Just type him in. He won something at some point.
I don't know how to spell that either.
It's like Jesse and
Yeah,
then
remember-
Niemann.
Yeah, I wasn't right. We'll
Dang
skip over it. OTB Open. You don't have either of them.
Paige Pierce.
Is it NEI?
No, it was not Paige Pierce.
Dang it. Okay, well that got me the next one then.
Yeah. it did.
Ella Hansen
Yes.
and MPO OTB Open.
And it wasn't one of the winners we have yet or listed already, which is
Who was the dark horse winner there? Konner?
No, I didn't win.
Dang it. All right, let's skip it.
we already have Portland and Beaver State.
Yeah, because that's
filled
both
in.
Gannon.
Turku Open. You already have Nicholas, who won.
Wait,
in
when
FPO.
didn't Presnell win something?
Champions Cup.
Champions
Already
Cup.
got
Okay.
him.
Dang it.
FPO, the Turku Open. Hannah Blomroos, maybe? No, she didn't win anything yet. Silva Saarinen. This is when Silva was on her dominant stretch.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Saarinen, I believe.
Yeah. Preserve. You already have Missy for FPO, MPO.
Ricky Wysocki.
Okay. And then Swedish Open. You already have Silva.
The Swedish Open.
Oh, we're out of time.
Dang it.
That was our 5 minutes. Tough. Let me fill.
I
in.
think I could have done better if I could have just spitballed all the
yeah,
winners.
but if I just said type in anybody you think has won this year, we would have done it in like 2 seconds. Like I wanted to actually see. If
Well,
you
no,
could-
because I still wouldn't. I don't know who won OTB. Because like that's how I was thinking.
Well,
if I was
but the
gonna
winner
go,
was Calvin. So
That's what I'm saying.
You
I
would
would've
have. You
I
would have
would've
spit
went
his
Calvin,
name.
Gannon, AB, Ricky, and then I would just seen who what tournaments were.
I don't
Yeah.
think you would have missed any of them because the only hard ones would have been like Proctor won one.
That's Swedish.
And that's literally it. The only there's one more. Anniken Steen won Texas State's. Those are the only 2 names on this
Yeah,
list.
I wouldn't have got
on
Anniken Steen. I would have got Proctor.
because I mean, yeah, if you look at it, yeah, AB, Evelina, Gannon, Kristen, Nick, like it's very much. This honestly puts it into perspective me just how consistent of a cast we've had this year. Like, there's a few different names on there, but it's really like 10 different names make up that entire FPO and MPO list. That's crazy. Because, like, yeah, Emily Weatherman was one of the outliers.
When did she win? What
Des
tournament?
Moines.
We didn't get there yet.
Weatherman, Proctor, Niemanen, Anniken Steen. Like, those are the
Anniken
names.
Steen's the one I would never remember.
I wouldn't have remembered that one either. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't remember that
But
one.
yeah, when I look at the rest of this, it is just
It just made me feel stupid.
chalk. It's hard.
It would have made me feel smart if I could have done the other way, which is why I wanted it that way.
Well, that's fine.
That's the only reason I didn't
But it's
like it.
difficult. I remember when we did that trivia thing with Statmando that one time, like they had us dipping back into like previous events. You know what's funny is I almost feel like it's almost easier sometimes to go back further. Like sometimes when you're in the season itself, I feel like it's very difficult.
Well, if it like if you ask me a tournament that Paul won in like 2016, 2017, I'll be able to recall that better. Also, but like 4 years from now, I'm still not going to remember that Anna Constantine won what tournament she won.
The tough thing too is back in the day, you know, we used to watch much more selective disc golf. Now we watch all of the disc golf, so it's very easy for it to blend in. Yeah. Especially when, like we mentioned, literally like 10 people or less have won like every event.
Well, also if you go 2016 and name any tournament, if I name Paul or Ricky, there's like a 75% chance I'm right.
It's like, oh, like Gannon's win, which one of them?
Yeah.
For sure. Because you're always going to have your more signature wins during the year, but a lot of them are just going to be like, that's another win for Gannon.
Now, New London Worlds next weekend.
New London.
In the news right now because in the disc golf news. Because there's an email sent yesterday to everyone who's purchased a spectator ticket. This was actually posted on Reddit, but I got the email too. But it said, New London note, cell phones will not be allowed on site at New London. Please keep your phone in the car. The Disc Golf Network broadcast runs off of cell signal, with a limited capacity of the cell phone network on site. They have asked us to limit the amount of cell phones in use at the park to save network usage for their live units. This person on Reddit, Savings Dealer 8336, said, wondering what people's thoughts are on this. I'm bummed, not because I won't be able to use cellular services while spectating, but more so because, like most people, my phone is my camera, and without it, I won't be able to take pictures and videos of what I see.
Let's go ahead and charge everybody a ton of money to come to Worlds, and you can't use the device to take pictures to remember that you went there.
Yeah.
What's weird to me is
so ridiculous, and it's not going to be enforced. Like you cannot tell people to good luck is what I'll say.
They've had this policy before, not no phones, but like all phones on airplane mode.
I'm fine with. Let me be clear. I'm totally fine with that. It helps the broadcast. Listen, we want people to be able to watch Worlds, whatever. But telling people to keep it in the car, their cell phone that is everybody's camera. Like, what are you? No, that's not going to happen.
It's fortunately it's only for 2 rounds, because if this was the whole tournament, you'd have because like those 2 rounds are happening earlier in the week, where at least
it's not the weekend.
At least spectator wise, it's going to be the least spectated of the 2 courses, because on the weekend at Ivy, you're going to have so many people. But I'm the only logic I could think here is that they must, when they told people like, hey, all phones on airplane mode, blah, 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 like still had trouble. But what's weird
is that's such an easier sell though. If you tell that to the audience, they're pretty likely to turn on airplane mode. If you say no phones, you haven't mentioned airplane mode. You just said no phones. People are just going to bring their phones, and they're going to not put them on airplane mode.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting part is going to be like, if I pull my phone out, am I being escorted off the property? You know what I mean? Like, how is it being enforced?
Who's going to enforce that?
Well, because like let's be realistic here, right? Okay, I can get behind like we ask you not to use your phone, not to use cellular device, but like my wife's coming, right? So my son will be with a babysitter.
Yeah.
My wife is going to have her phone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she has a spectator pass, but like, if the babysitter needs to get in touch with me or my wife while we're on the course, that takes a little priority over the DGN.
That's what I was gonna say.
Now, my wife, I'll ask like, we're not gonna be scrolling Instagram and using our phone a bunch, but like, we're parents. We got to have our phone on us. Yeah. We can't just not.
I mean,
I have a newborn baby at home. I'm not gonna go spend hours at a course with no phone.
Media passes, you'll be able to have your phone. That's the other weird part is like everyone keeps score on their phone. Yeah. So it's more so, I guess, just like the 3,000 plus people like not having them.
Yeah, like
10,000.
I understand what they're trying to do is that by telling you to put it in the car, they know it's not going to be perfectly followed, but they're trying to reduce the amount of phones total on the property. Like I understand they were just like, let's just go to the extreme, and hopefully that has a greater effect. But like, it's just a bad look. It's a bad look that they have to do this, and I understand that it's what they're doing with live coverage. I'm not ignorant to the fact that it is very difficult for them to put on the live coverage that they do. It's not a perfect place to be doing it in London, but at the end of the day,
it's not in the sticks. New London isn't out in the middle of nowhere.
They tested the signal, and on the back, like 7, 8, 9, it's dead.
That's crazy because it's not in the middle of nowhere.
And listen. And I've said this before too. I am so happy that Worlds is here and at New London. But if these are the lengths you have to go to broadcast, then it probably should never have passed the test. Probably shouldn't have been here in the first place.
It is interesting. Like from my knowledge, I don't know if the test was done until like this year when this was announced like 2 years, like a year and a half ago.
Probably one of the first things done.
The other thing that's funny to me is like New London Tech's a technical center. Yeah. But I was talking to someone the other day, and apparently like one of the big warehouses in there runs on Starlink because they don't even have fiber back in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, that blew my mind. I'm like, what are we doing? Like at a technical center where there's a business park, like there's businesses all in there.
If somebody tries to drag me out of there for using my phone, I'm going limp body.
Well, again, you're on Media Pass.
Did they say if you're not Media Pass? I'm pretty
This was
sure.
sent to spectators. Media Pass, like you're there to capture
Surely.
media. You don't have another option.
I'm just saying, if anybody tries, I might just go incognito and just make them drag me out of there.
Well, I think that
I'm not going to put up a fight, but I'm going to go limp.
I mean, I think there was like I don't know. It's just an interesting one. 'Cause, like,
I
all
understand
for,
they're in a struggle, but like
I'm all for.
It's a little crazy.
Like,
to be like you can't have a phone whatsoever. Because like I said, like you mentioned, I mean, just being able to communicate. Like there are people that need to be able to communicate.
The flip side, right, is if this was a policy that was communicated before tickets were purchased.
Also an excellent point.
Because Augusta.
Also an excellent
right?
point.
Like you go to the Masters.
Yeah,
phones allowed.
You want to know another big difference between Augusta? They have pay phones everywhere.
But I'm just saying, like, that is a thing of like, this is a
knows.
big, but that's a known thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to Augusta. Okay, if I have a babysitter, then I need to figure out a different way.
Yeah.
Versus like, I bought my passes for me and my wife before I knew I was getting media passes. I bought my passes for me and my wife like 5 months ago.
No, it's a very valid point.
And we set up babysitters like a month ago or a few weeks ago. So like well before this no cell phone policy. So like everything was already in place, and now we find out not supposed to have cell phones.
That's a very good point.
Like that's a much different reception than hey, when you're buying this, just be aware no cell phones are allowed on the property, and you could have also sold it like however you want of different ways. But like when you're doing this again, and the enforcement team is the big thing, because I think most disc golfers kind of know like I saw someone on Facebook like basically saying, well, what are they gonna do?
Nothing.
That's the problem.
They're gonna say, hey, could you please put your phone away? And then they'll put their phone away, and they'll take it out the next second. They're not looking.
Yeah.
Well, and especially since they didn't say anything in the email about like, if your phone is seen out, then you will be asked to go put it in your car. Does it say that in there?
It just is saying like you're gonna like leave them in your car.
Yeah,
you are being asked.
It doesn't. But it doesn't say that if a phone is seen, something will happen.
Technically, like if your phone's seen, they will have the rights to kick you out of the event.
Yes.
Will they execute those rights? I don't know. You can try your luck. Who knows?
Crazy, bro.
But
like the idea that like Paul Macbeth is going to tee off on one, and you're not going to see 50 people pull out their phones to film.
I love that. I'm all about that. Like, let's be in the moment. I'm
not all about it, because you paid for a ticket. Capture the moment so that you can remember forever.
No, I'm saying I love the optics of like a whole crowd looking with no phones.
I mean, yeah,
I love that.
I guess, but also it's like
I don't like how they enacted it of this late and everything. But I love the like. You remember the it went viral. I think Budweiser, someone ended up using it as an ad because the dude was holding a Budweiser can or something. But it was like the whole crowd watching Tiger Woods, and everyone had their phones out, and there was one dude holding a beer, standing up front with no phone. And then I forget, it was whichever company bought the picture and used it for marketing of like
they put him on a can,
live in the moment and stuff like.
Well, I understand that whole thing, and I know that people love being the like, let's put our phones away. But people spend money, they travel, they just want to remember something. When I went to the PGA Tour event, I watched it with my own eyes, and I also wanted to film and take pictures so that I could look back on them fondly. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
No.
Like that, people make an effort to get out there, they should be able to capture the event, and it's such a bummer that they won't be able to according to these rules.
Only in New London, too.
Yes. This is also very important. The final 2 rounds, the most busy ones,
three of the 5 rounds you can capture.
How many people are actually going to be at New London?
That's what I'm saying. Is it's not?
No, well, like actually, like the tickets. Like how many people are allowed to be at New London? Isn't there like a cap?
No, I don't think so. Originally, it was going to be VIP only, but that's not it. That's not it anymore. There's a general admission walk. No, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Anyone can go.
Interesting.
So because there's like a
are they going to be able
walk.
to? Are they going to be able to get to the back 9 where the problem is?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay.
Because they're using like part of the trail thing. That's the other thing is like even if you had your phone at New London, if you just have a general admission ticket, you're not really filming much.
No,
because you're not going to see that much. To be straight up,
yeah.
Like New London's just not a very good spectator course. I think it's a great Worlds course from a player perspective. I think it'll play phenomenally well. I think that it'll film fine, but spectator wise, it just ain't it. And we've kind of always known that.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it'll be better.
Yeah, there's just no spot.
Actually,
if it's a large gallery,
that's what I'm saying. Like if there's
that's true.
2,000 people out there,
there's a couple
trying
holes
to watch
that'd be okay,
it. Like
but not
hole
many.
5 is gonna be sick. You can line the top. Like that's great.
You have to walk behind them or basically nowhere else.
Yeah, like if you're in the woods, like you'll get to see a little bit, but
That's true because it'd be a long walk to go to that field on 5.
no, that's where you're parking.
That's where you're parking.
Yeah,
But then it'd be a long walk to go from there to anywhere else.
Well, you're watching disc golf. It's a long walk wherever you go.
It's just, I mean, it's
unless you're at USDGC, you got a long walk.
I mean, unless they're doing something different, but if you have to go all the way around that field and then down the road,
no,
they'll let you
there's
walk
a trail
through. Okay.
that takes you to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a trail that like starts at hole 5 and walks right over to 1,
okay.
and they're using that I think as part of the like general admission.
Okay.
Everything.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see the spectator flow there.
I can pull up.
I'm gonna bring my one wheel.
But yeah, I think to me, the policy is I just wish it was just what they normally do of put it on airplane mode.
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me at all.
Because like that, who cares, right? But it must be that it just was not getting, because that's what it was when I went to Music City. They've asked that at so many tournaments, but it must be that no one's doing it.
Yeah. Well, can they tell? Like, no.
That's the other thing that's confusing to me is like,
how do you even quantify that?
the problem too here, right, is where there's struggles with network bandwidth, right?
There's a neighborhood.
So like, I mean, I guess it's because there's thousands of people, and like if thousands of people are all using their phone at the same time,
I don't think there's going to be thousands of people in New London on Wednesday and Friday.
On Friday there will be for sure.
Yeah, probably Friday. Maybe like
maybe
like 1,000.
Wednesday. No, I could see it being 2,000
Well,
plus.
they've only sold 3,300 tickets.
3,600. I think.
3,600. That's what I'm saying. So like if they've sold that
almost
many
3,700.
tickets, I don't know that half of them will be in town on Friday.
I could see it.
I mean, it's possible, but I just based on what I've seen with other.
Well, like
events.
USDGC sells similar number of tickets, and Friday's pretty slammed.
I mean, compared to Saturday and Sunday, though, I feel like it's less than half.
I don't. No. Definitely not. I don't think.
Well, there's no way to know.
There's no way to know. No. But I don't think it's less than half. Because then that, yeah.
Well, I would say if the weekend has 5,000, it wouldn't surprise me if it was like 2,000 on
here's
Friday.
Here's the walking paths they're using. So you'll cut from there down hole 4 and up to get to 1, and you can walk out and see hole 8 and 9. That's their walking path.
What's the one hole that's hidden out there? That's like
hole 8. There's no way to watch hole 8, which is fair.
Yeah.
There's literally no way to watch hole 8.
Can't wait till your favorite player walks into the woods there, and then they walk out, and you're like, where'd they go on the leaderboard? Like,
yeah. Well, hole 8.
Other than hole 8, will you be able to get to every hole?
So you can see.
Looks like it.
Yeah. You'll be able to see every hole except for hole 2. It looks like.
Also 11, it looks like you're going to see the tee shot, and that's
hole
it.
1. You can watch them tee off. What's funny is if you're only able to use the general admission like walking path, then you'll be able to watch hole 1 tee off, and then it's gonna be you're gonna kind of book it to get to them on hole 3 because you got to walk up by hole 18, across 15, past 16, and then down to get to hole 3 if you're standing by 1.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Like you're gonna have to book it to catch them on 3.
Holy smokes!
So that'll be kind of fun to see. But New London's just not a spectator course. Like it's the woods. It's the woods. Like it sucks, but it's the truth.
They do have
Versus
bleachers out there though.
Ivy is going to be the opposite. Ivy's just going to be. They got shuttles running from different holes. Like you can get from hole 1 to hole 9 to hole 17 like super easily.
Oh, that's cool.
You can spectate the whole like.
Nice.
Yeah, Ivy's going to be a phenomenal experience.
I'm still not good at watching a tournament and bouncing around just because I'm still so used to like the early disc golfer in me just watching Jomez where I watch a card all the way through that like still even with USDGC like it's hard. Like I think last year was the first time that I jumped around and I enjoyed it a lot, but like I'm used to like going finding Paul's card and then just walking it the whole way.
There's 2 ways to do it. Yeah, sometimes.
And so like I still am overwhelmed thinking about Worlds because I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Well, I think the difference nowadays is like back then. Lead card was there. No one was winning.
Nobody else.
Like you had lead card, and then by the time you got to chase card, it was like 7 or 8 strokes off. Nowadays, it's like someone on third card, especially in the early rounds, someone on third or fourth card could be charging for the lead, and it's like, well, that's the golf I want to watch right now.
Also, USDGC really like that venue really promotes it's very easy to bounce around. Like at these events, especially in New London, you're better off just following one card or parking on a hole. That's another way to do it.
I don't think I can do that.
They got a big they have a big grandstand behind one. I could sit there for a couple hours and watch, like, from the point that really good cards are starting to go off, like on Friday. Just watch them all the way through, and then maybe when lead card tees off, follow them. Like, I like to do that.
I could watch hole 5 at New London. I think that'd be fun. I don't think I'd really get too tired just because it's gonna be different for us too though, because we know the course so well that like we're gonna be watching people land and have a different appreciation than like because your viewers at home are gonna watch a forehand on 5 and watch where it gets to and just be like, that's a good forehand, that's where it should get to. And we're going to watch a forehand on 5 and be like, I've never thrown a roller there.
To be fair, all of our viewers will know.
Yes. Yeah. Because like we played with Ezra and like the guy obviously has a great forehand. Yeah. But like there's farther throwers of the forehand on tour.
Yeah.
And like we were talking to him about like why we go roller, blah, blah, blah. Crazy. And then he threw his forehand. And I was walking up to his forehand. I was like, Ezra, I got to be straight with you. Don't even think about the roller. Get the roller out of your head. There's no point. A roller won't really get much better. If you throw a roller to where you throw a forehand, then you're risking the drainage pond.
Anybody who throws a roller in the hole is probably trying to get all the way past the drainage pond.
Yeah. Like it's just, we watched Ezra and I was just like, you're at a different, don't even think. Just roller out of your head.
That forehand,
crazy, man.
Yeah. It's wild.
You really see it at New London. That is the most I've ever seen the difference between a pro and someone who just plays disc golf. Like at New London,
it really
especially,
separates it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're gonna be in town and you're hearing all this talk about Worlds and everything, or you're like thinking about coming but you need something else to push you over the edge, we are helping the Isaiah 117 House, which is a local charity, run a charity tournament on Friday. So you can either sign up for, there's like day rounds going on. It's a 9-hole tournament, $25 to get in. Originally, you got a T-shirt. I think we're past the T-shirt registration point, but it's $25, 9 holes. All of it goes straight to charity, and it's at Timbrook Park. If you want to do it a little bit later, then there's a Glow Golf going on, which is going to be a blast over there. They're going to have food trucks, vendors, the whole 9 yards. So it's going to be an absolute blast. You can find it over on the Disc Golf Scene. I think if you go to discgolfscene.com/Isaiah, it'll pull it up, but you can also just go to the Disc Golf Scene and search Isaiah 117, and it'll pop right up. Plenty of registration spots still open. Like I said, it's $25. You can hop in there, play around, play 9 holes at Timbrook. There's also, if you're like a newer player or if you want to bring your kid, there's a like father-son or mother-daughter or mother-son, whatever, like a parent and child doubles going on the front 9. And no experience is needed for that. You don't even have to bring equipment. They're going to have discs for you to be able to play there. So you can either sign up for that doubles or for singles on the back 9. Like I said, you could also play Glow. It's going to be an absolute blast. So check that out if you're going to be in town Worlds Week. It's going to be the spot to be, and it's for a good cause. The Isaiah 117 House. You can learn more about them we have a bunch of videos with them, or you can just go to their website and learn all about them. So going to be a blast. I got to talk about this because we got to call him out. Ryan Mon.
Well, let me give you...
He did what the PDJ is calling the Major Am Slam. He basically won the United States Amateur Championship. He then won the Junior World Championship in the 18 under division. And then he, this past weekend, won the Am Worlds.
Wow.
So he's won the 3 kind of Am majors that you can win. So absolutely popping off. Time for him to move up.
So people are heated. People are really heated about this.
You can't be heated about this.
Well, I just want to explain. I just want to tell you.
Yeah, people can be, but just be mentally prepared. If you're one of the people that are heated, you're not going to like anything that's about to come out of my mouth.
The Instagram comments, the Reddit, like, the AMs get worked up about a lot of things. They were furious about Ryan Mon. Basically, their reasoning being that, they're like, he's taking advantage of the system because he plays MPO all year long, but then turns down cash. And then just wins the AM events just to farm the AM events, and to that I say, he is allowed to.
Yeah, he's an AM.
He's an AM.
Like if you don't want,
he turned down the cash.
Like an AM, if you're playing at the top level of your division, which Ryan Mon is, there's nowhere for him to go.
And also,
you can't you.
Here's my thing.
You can be as good as you want.
He is gonna move up. The whole, you look at the guys that win the amateur championships. It's not your Joe Schmoes that have been playing am disc golf their whole life.
Yeah.
It's guys that are about to turn pro. Like that is these championships, they exist for really the next up and comers. So defending the am division when he is an am, and like he's gonna move up. He's gonna move up.
It's like, oh, he's turning. Yeah, this is ridiculous. He's playing open. He's turning down money. So he's an amateur,
and also,
he's not getting paid.
Also,
what's he supposed to do?
Also, one more important thing to remember is, in disc golf, it's not like he's just guaranteed to go on tour and just make this awesome living. So, like, if he wants to keep doing it for funsies, here's what it is.
Well, also, the
But the surefire sign, like if he was turning down cash all year long to do this, it probably means he's probably going to move up. Like he's probably done.
Well, because like there's kind of different ways to go in disc golf, right? One of the big ways
he played
is
one tour,
if you
two tour
go
events and stunk.
3. Well, Q series, yeah.
Yeah,
the 2 is the tour
stunk
series.
at him.
But
Not ready.
If he goes what he just did, this guarantees, if he's not already sponsored, a sponsorship. Like a manufacturer is signing him because this points to a very promising future, right? We have a lot of players on tour who are AM champs in some way, shape, or form that have performed very well. It used to be the AM World's curse, kind of gone now. But like I believe Anthony Barella won a bunch of amateur championships. Paul Ulibarri, Ricky Wysocki,
David Wiggins.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of guys who like it points to you're gonna have a successful future because a lot of times playing at these big AM majors is playing against the future of the sport. And when you're playing at the local scene, right, your only option to have high-level amateur competition is to play an MPO.
If he was playing MA1 at the local events, you would just call him a sandbagger, and he should be playing MP. Like, it's not like you're allowed to. Like, and like I said, if he did this for 3 straight years, and it was like, okay, why is he still playing?
He played Junior Worlds. He's a kid.
I don't think if he's still doing this after all
How
these
old
years.
is he?
But like,
He's under 18.
Under 18.
That's crazy.
18 or younger, but. Yeah, I just like, who do you want to play in the AM division? Like, what? I don't understand what made, like, is it because you, like.
It's because they didn't win.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's
like,
my whole thing.
The whole
like,
farming, it's like, that's just how it works.
Not to
Don't
mention,
you
like,
think-
imagine
The AM divisions are built for you to get good enough to go to pro.
And don't you think he'd rather have cash than a bunch of plastic?
Yeah, you can't.
Like most people
you
would.
can't get so worked up.
It's just funny too thinking
I
that he's
know
like
people hate-
probably like 17.
Yeah, he's a kid.
I know people hate these
just
takes,
getting
but it's like,
furious
I'm
at a
sorry, guys.
17-year-old for like not being going
Well, no,
pro.
he's doing exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because when I was playing, like college nationals and stuff like that, right? Like and some people who are playing like local AM scenes, they just it doesn't quite click how good some AMs are out there. But like even college nationals, the only way I was going to get competition on our local scene that was similar to what you're going to face at college nationals was to play MPO. There was no way, shape, or form around it because like the high level amateur side, they're very, very good. In the local pros, you typically have 1 or 2 guys that are very good, and you have a bunch of guys that are like 970, 960, stuff like that. That's what you're going against when you're playing big AM events. So like when he's local, he could play MA1 and absolutely dominate 930 rated players, or he can go compete with 970, 980, and that's what he's going to see in MA1.
This is the best one. There's a number of comments on here that this is what bagging and exploiting rules looks like. Good play though, or this is a bad look. This is the best one though. At PDGA, at some point, where is the integrity of the sport going to be upheld? Congrats to Ryan, he's playing awesome and by the rules, but PDGA. By the rules. But PDGA needs to address the fact that lately these AM winners are also winning multiple tournaments in the professional divisions. Ryan has 8 wins in MPO before this most recent MA1 win. Make it make sense. MA1 and FA1 major winners should receive a tour card to continue in the respective competitive fields and be placed in the professional divisions, or at least not permitted to continue winning amateur majors.
Not how it works.
But also, I'm pretty sure, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't won any of these before. Because like you should be able to win multiple AM majors in a season. You shouldn't just.
Well, you should be able to keep coming back too, in my opinion.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, I could understand somebody's frustration if year after year you had some kid who like obviously
these
is
are
good
the only
enough to
ones
be
he's
playing
won.
pro, but
Yeah.
like you did it all in 1 year, and he's I'm sure that was probably it. Like he won them all. That's what his goal was probably, and now he's probably going to be on the pro tour next year or playing professional.
But my thing is like in golf, you'll see amateurs play very, very well. They'll get invited to a tour event. They'll play very well. They'll place very high, and they can't accept cash, right?
You can choose after the fact if you want to turn pro.
Yeah.
Like the guy who won.
But what happens to the amateurs that turn down cash?
They remain amateurs.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the exact same thing.
It's all about the whole idea of AM golf is playing until you decide you are ready to turn pro, because turning pro is a big decision.
Yeah.
And so
like that's how it should. If you want your division protected, there are protected divisions. It's called MA2, MA3, MA4, and there is rating caps there. MA1 is the best amateurs in the world. There's no cap. Like someone could legitimately be 1100 rated, the best player in the world, and be an MA1, and that is fair. That's within the rules. Like that is what it is. If you want to be protected, move down a division. Go to MA2.
I mean, are we asking for a?
It's just crazy to me.
I mean, look at this. How about this, guys? In his Instagram post yesterday, this was my last amateur event ever.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So he won them, and now he's moving up, just like he should. Like, what are we doing? Getting all worked up about it.
I don't know. I love. There's nothing to.
Oh man,
I love reading people get fired up about sandbagging when it's like this, where it's like that you're just being kind of dumb. Like when there's legit sandbaggers who are like tanking their ratings or like they're just playing just to win whatever. Okay, sure, I can get behind that. But like when people are playing like well within, or it's like their first tournament and they signed up for MA2 and they won it by 10 because they didn't know, and people get really fired up about that person. I'm like, well, what'd you want the guy to do?
Yeah,
he had no idea what he was signing up for. Like,
you're riled up, man.
That's hilarious to me.
You're riled
But
up.
all right, it's time for the fan favorite segment. Also, double fan favorite segment. People love every segment we do on this show.
That's
Make
true.
that call.
We don't have any segments that aren't a fan favorite. That's the
Silas selects. Make that call should come back.
Yeah, I loved Make That Call.
Really, you should every time there's a new PDGA rules batch, you should just throw in a couple.
What I did,
new ones.
there was a rule call I found very interesting this past weekend, because the commentary booth I think kind of disagreed with what they decided, but it was Owen Scoggins on hole 14, Idlewild. She threw, and there was a tree that was the tree. So the line was on this side of the tree, this side like closer to me, right? So the tree's inbounds, the root of the tree. But as the tree goes up, it kind of bends over the out of bounds line.
Okay.
She hit the tree a little bit higher up. So the commentary team was saying like, well, technically her disc never went inbounds on that side of the creek. It wasn't a big deal because it was like 10 feet closer, 10 feet shorter on still a long putt.
Okay.
But the card gave her the spot across the creek because she hit the tree that's inbounds.
Couldn't tell where it was.
And so they gave her and she missed the putt. So end of the day, score wise, didn't matter.
It's probably fair though if you couldn't tell.
But it was just an interesting one of like, should that be inbounds? Like if you hit a tree.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Where is that
I think
line?
I think if it's clear, I mean the tree doesn't grant you inbounds by touching it. So it's where the disc is in space. But I think if I were in that situation and I'm like, well, I'm not really sure, and like part of the tree is inbounds, you're giving the benefit to the player.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Because the interesting
that would be crazy though. Imagine you just touch the tree.
Here's a secondary question, okay? Because this is a different rule. Because here there was a clearly painted line, right, and the line defines the OB. Okay. But if it was creek's OB, right, like surrounded by water, and we'll say the same scenario. We'll say a tree's up and it hangs over, and I'm in the tree, but I'm hanging over the water. What is that called? I don't know the answer there because like if
it's not surrounded by water.
Because if I'm
you know, saying like the creek's not painted.
Yeah, so the creek is OB,
and it's just surrounded by water within the creek.
If you drop your lie,
technically surrounded by water. So like you can be on a rock in the middle of the creek, but since there's water on all sides, right. So you're hanging where there's water on both sides of your disc vertically, but you're touching a tree that's inbounds. What's the call?
That is I think you can get up in the tree and play it.
I feel like it would just be. You almost have to be inbounds.
Well, no, you can't because it's rule of verticality. If you want to play rule of verticality, you go straight down.
But you're
creek.
touching something that is inbounds, like it comes in.
That doesn't grant you.
But yeah,
inbounds,
the rope is what's
it's where the
inbounds,
disc
not the tree.
is in space.
Oh no, there's no
Right.
rope. It's the water.
But it's where the disc is
just
in
because you got to
by
think of
water.
like
touching the tree. What precedent would there be to just say that grants you inbounds because you're
I
touching?
mean, I'd
argument-
argue until I was red in
That's
the
what I'm
face.
saying.
If I was in the situation,
argument would be like if there was a peninsula of land I'm on, I'm safe because I'm touching inbounds, and now I'm touching the tree that's
right.
touching
So I'm saying
inbounds.
if you get up in the tree, go ahead and play it. But if you're going to use the rule of verticality, you are now going down. Your lie is beneath it. That is out
well,
of
you
bounds.
get relief. You
don't-
get a meter off. In both cases.
What are you talking about?
Because like if I'm on a land peninsula, I get a meter towards the inbounds because I'm right on the OB.
Not if you're out of bounds. I'm saying if you use the rule of verticality, which you would in that scenario if you can't play from in the tree, it goes straight down. You are now out of bounds.
It's probably the right call
because that's what
I
you do.
feel like,
you would mark your
like
disc below where it is.
I would agree that's probably the right call.
Has to be.
But I would bet 95% is calling it inbounds.
I disagree because I don't know
where do you
how
play
you
from?
how could you argue it? What's your
where
argument?
do you play from?
You take your meter in.
That would be
Your argument would be I'm touching inbounds because I'm touching the tree that's inbounds. That would be the argument that would be presented.
I would say,
and like you can follow that line of logic and
I would say
yeah.
currently your lie is inbounds. If you use the rule of verticality, your lie is no longer inbounds. I think that's pretty black and white.
But if your lie is currently inbounds, then you are inbounds
What makes it?
But also,
What makes it mean you're touching in bounds?
because you're touching the tree that's connected to inbounds.
So what if there's like a vine laying on the ground,
But also,
that's attached to the ground?
Is there
in
even
and
an
you're
option
dead
to
in the
use
middle of the, like you're dead in the middle of the creek on the vine?
Well, if you're in the middle of the creek, you're surrounded by water.
Are you even allowed to play from up in a tree?
No.
So then it's rule of verticality by default, and you're out of bounds.
That should be it. Yes, I agree.
I'm just saying. I would love to see.
I think if you're making that call, probably your whole card is getting pissed at you because they're like, "What do you mean? Like he's in the
Facts
tree,
don't
he's
care about
touching
your
bounds."
feelings.
Yeah, well, just because the line
I
makes
just
it
don't
where
care.
the line makes it where like, well, there's not really an argument.
If you can
because you're
present
over
to
the
me,
line,
if you can
yeah.
present to me a PDGA rule that says otherwise, but like I just don't see how you could argue it other than just
wonder if
being
there
like,
is, like,
well,
a-
it should make sense because like that doesn't matter. It's the
no,
rule.
literally the statement that people would keep coming back to would just be like, "Well, I'm in the tree and the tree's in bounds."
Like yeah, well that doesn't matter.
PDGA hanging over OB ruling. Let me just see if they're because sometimes they have those like question
That
and
is
answer
I will
section.
say that is a fact. Like I've never heard this scenario, but it has to happen a decent amount of times because you have trees lining OB. Disc gets stuck up there. I'd be curious to know if there is anything written about it.
This is the AI Google thing. Gave me a summary that
Yeah.
just basically says a disc is considered inbounds if any part overhangs inbounds playing surface, even if it doesn't touch it. So if a disc is suspended in the air, it still is considered inbounds as long as some part of it is over the inbounds area. Assuming the 2 meter rule is not in
because
effect.
I think where it gets really weird is in this scenario where the creek isn't painted.
Yeah.
Because
That's what in the Onskagen ones the creek was painted and she hit
yeah.
the trunk. She wasn't hanging, so
Yeah.
it was a very much like
Right.
where did you
but
hit
if
the trunk?
if the creek is
line.
painted, I think it'd be a lot easier to be like, look, your disc is hovering over the OB, like
Yeah.
it's out. But and there's a reason why you have to. That's why you should paint creeks. But I think it does make it much weirder when it's like if you're in the creek, surrounded by water, because then you're right. Yeah, technically your lie does have to move to make it that way, but it has to move.
Yeah. I'm trying to just read if there was something.
I mean, that
Yeah,
would
here.
be. I hope it happens at Worlds this year. That would be the most bizarre ruling. Could you
is
imagine?
crazy.
Because like in theory, right? That would mean if this counted, that would mean the only thing that saved that disc from OB is just the fact that it decided to stay stuck in a tree. Could you imagine somebody losing a tournament because somebody else's disc was going OB and got stuck above OB?
That's another reason that OB, especially
I'd
in this
quit disc golf
scenario,
forever.
should be painted, and it was at Idlewild, but it should be because of like, then if our card played right and it was Silas's disc, and the three of us were like, well, no, look, dude, it's over OB, you're OB, and the next card through plays and it's like, well, he's in the tree that's in bounds.
Yeah.
Then like those two very easily could be played different, and neither card might think I need to take this to the tournament director for the decision. And so very easily that could be 3-stroke difference.
You know, it definitely needs to be line force field straight up.
Yeah, it's just when you have surrounded by water, not the line. That's when it gets
It's a restricted area, man.
Yeah, it just was an
Don't
interesting.
end-
It was an interesting thing because I could definitely hear the argument of like, well, I hit the tree and the tree's in bounds, so I hit over there. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Our trees a bridge.
our tree's a bridge.
I
Silas Alex, what do you think? It is?
I want somebody in the comments actually to look through the rules and see if there is anything like that, because I'd love to.
I just
know.
saw one where the OB lines continue vertically, but again, if it's an ambiguous line of surrounded by water, that's when it's like,
Are you still allowed to do that? Surrounded by water? Like, is that still a thing? Can you just say,
Yeah,
"Here's
yeah.
a body"? Because it is the dumb. Like, you should never do that. You're just asking for a fight.
yeah, well, a lot of times it is easy. Like if a creek's way over on the right.
Well, it's especially easy when there's a pond, but like when
Yeah.
you've got even creeks and that water gets a little low, and all of a sudden there's like a little gravel patch, and somebody's like, "Oh, look, it connects to land." Like, it's just paint it or flag it.
In the spirit of creeks, I think it's a rock.
Okay.
Never,
Never.
never,
Never.
never. I think it is a one of them. I think it's a nuke.
Seriously?
Never. I think it's a nuke.
What are you reading, hun?
I get old nuke.
Sensing.
Holy
You
cow!
think
I'm
it's
going
Sensei?
Raptor. I'm going Raptor.
Again? Wide rim.
It's
Curl.
Oh.
Hey, Curl.
Hey, Curl.
I would have never guessed that.
You had to put in the
In a
dirty
million
one
years,
second.
I would have never, ever guessed that.
What
That's
did
a
you say
good-
we
that's-
should? You had a great curl stamp idea at the warehouse on Friday.
Just Konner with a perm.
Go get it, Curl, or something like that.
No, no. Oh, what was it? It was
Let's
genius.
go, Curls.
No, it didn't have to. It had nothing to do with
Curly
girl.
fries?
It was not
Okay.
using curl as girl.
Curly
what did I
fries?
say?
I can't think of much other things that have to do with curls. Other than
I can't
hair and
remember.
curly fries.
I can't remember, but I know
It was
what you
not.
said,
I don't even
but-
know if it like referenced curl. Like it did, but it didn't. Like, I don't think it used curl in place of something.
Oh.
It didn't.
That doesn't sound like Konner because he's a pretty big pun guy. I feel like he would have gone to a pun.
I can't remember.
It was good.
It was good.
I was like, for a
Dang
second,
it,
I was like,
man.
dang, like we should actually run that.
Dang
Right,
it,
that
man!
just
You
then
should have
went right
hyped
off
me
it.
up. You didn't really. I don't remember there really being much of a response, so I deleted it.
Yeah. He would have remembered.
Dang it, it was good because it made me laugh. But I was like, would they actually sell? I don't know.
Dang, I hate being in the situation where Hunter was proud of me for something that I can't remember.
Well. We'll talk to you
never know.
next week. We'll have the preview show next week and Grip Lock next week, and it's Worlds Week. Well, let us know if you're in the comments if you're gonna be here for Worlds. Be like, I'll see you on blah 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 day.
Roll up to the store.
Me and my friends, we pull up.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you there.